Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Kevin from 21 Stat Streets. Hope you're having a good day. Today, I just want to share a little bit about my Bitcoin journey. So, I've been into Bitcoin since 2017, 2018, around there. And the way that I came across Bitcoin was through actually a YouTube video. It wasn't even a Bitcoin influencer. But from there on, I just got hooked, and I wanted to find ways to buy Bitcoin. I opened up both a Coinbase and a Binance account at that time, and and that's how I got the exposure to Bitcoin. But then I also got exposure to other coins such as Ethereum and XRP, and it's not really it's really not only my journey into Bitcoin, my experience with it, but also my experience about the concept of money and what money actually is and how it works, the history, the philosophy, maybe even the science behind it as well. And I remember after that, Bitcoin and the rest of the crypto market just crashed. And since this is my first time actually, I guess you could say investing my money into that, because at that time I just saw Bitcoin as just an investment, because I was just a kid in college and I was just wanting to make, quick, fast money, just like any other college kid and all that. But then that's where I was introduced by a good friend of mine who happened to be in Bitcoin and crypto as well. And he also introduced me to buying gold and silver, and I started stacking gold and silver as well. And while I was stacking, that's again, like, I was understanding the concept of money and all that, and it made me stack harder. And then I picked up restacking Bitcoin around September of 2018. So it was a few months I didn't buy any Bitcoin from that time, from December 2017 to September 2018, because I kept on, I had to learn it, I had to understand it, how it works and all. But I was also stacking, the altcoins as well, just like anybody else on their Bitcoin journey as well. And at that time, when I was in college, I worked part-time jobs, so it's not like I made a lot of money, or even the summer jobs. And I actually had I would put in my whole paycheck, or if not half of my paycheck, just to put it into Bitcoin and crypto. And then once I graduated college, I actually got my first hardware wallet as a gift. It was a Ledger, and I even got a Bitcoin for Dummies book, which I think that was also useful as well. And then 2020 came, got my first job right outside of college, and you know what happened 2020. Just to make a long story short, instead of working in an office, worked from home. And at that time I had student loans, so I was paying those off as well, and still buying Bitcoin, and again buying Bitcoin and other shit coins and all that kind of stuff. But then this happened, December 2020. I was gonna say I got scammed, but I can't say that I got scammed, because I voluntarily opened myself up to that exposure. So basically what was going on was that Ledger had a breach in their data security, and they were sending out emails, warning us, because there was also phishing emails that came along with that, with people pretending to be from Ledger, saying that your wallet was compromised, your account on Ledger was compromised, and we can help you restore it just by you giving us the 12 to 24 words. And mind you, when you have a wallet or a cold wallet or a hardware device, they're always going to say, do not give us your 12 to 24 words. And I remember this was Christmas Eve of 2020. I was actually working, and at the same time I was checking my emails, and I freaked out and I accidentally put in those 12 to 24 words, and then when it clicked to me that this was not Ledger, it was too late. And everything that I stacked from 2018 to 2020 was gone, and I was really heartbroken. And like, it was just the worst feeling, because it's not even about the potential of what it could have been, but it's like, seeing all your hard work going into these assets, and it just like that, gone. But I had to tell myself, like, this is money comes and goes, and I made a mistake, it was on me, there's nothing wrong with the device, it was the user, and I can make it again. And that's what I did. So now from 2020 onwards, so I started restacking again, still stacking Bitcoin, but also stacking the shit coins. And this is when Bitcoin was already moving up in price, and I remember I'm like saying, like, dang, like, I don't think I can catch up, but I'm still going for it, still doing it. And that's what I did. And I remember my friends were getting into crypto and all that kind of stuff, and they were asking me, but I always said, like, to really put the emphasis on Bitcoin, but always got disregard for that. Which is fine, because I was doing the same. Like, well, I was stacking Bitcoin, but I was also buying other coins as well. And then I think 2021, that's where it hit the all-time high of 69K, and I felt like it was really out of reach, but we still had to keep going. And then 2022, I went to my first Bitcoin conference in Miami, Florida. Went with a friend of mine. The experience, it was cool. It was cool and all. I think at that time, what I wish it would have done better was, maybe network more, because that was my whole purpose to going to that conference, was networking more, but didn't really find, I guess you could say, the right people to network with. And it's fine. I mean, it was an experience, and I enjoyed it. And I remember at that time, and I think between 2021 and the conference, it dropped from 69 to like around the 40 price range. But then the month after the conference, it dropped from 40 to 20. And I remember saying, oh wow, like, I think this is gonna go lower. And wasn't looking at charts, I wasn't tracking anything. I was just simply looking at the price and the chart along with that price. And I'm just like looking at the historical data that was on there. And I just had a hunch saying it could probably drop to 15. And when I told that to people, they thought I was crazy. But I said, no, I think it's gonna drop to 15. Because it kept dancing around 19 to 20K. So I'm like, it's just moving sideways right there. And since I was so compelled and so convinced, I wanted to take out a loan. I mean, that was, doable, and I can pay myself back and all that. And I actually asked a family member of mine to let me borrow that money. They were hesitant at first. I mean, they weren't even sure about Bitcoin, and obviously it's understood and stuff. But thankfully enough, they confided in me that whatever I had to say, like, I had full conviction in, and they were assured that I could also pay back the loan, because I was paying the student loans and I paid it off within a year or two. So I got the money, put that money on the sideline. But even during that time, I was still stacking, but I wasn't stacking as hard enough. And then when the whole Sam Bankman-Fried FTX scandal happened, that's where Bitcoin started crashing down from 1920 to 16 to 15, like 990K, around there, just to be exact, because it wasn't a clear cut clean 15K. So I was partially right, I guess you could say. but yeah, and I made the big purchase, and that really helped me with getting to my stacking goal where I had before. And then a year later, I did meet my goal. But then after that, I'm like saying like, wow, I met the goal and stuff. But I'm like, now what? And not only that, but like, I still had so much to learn and all that. So I said, like, you know what? I'm just gonna do what Sailor says. I'm gonna keep buying at the bottom, and I'm gonna keep buying at the top. Because I guess there's no such thing as too much Bitcoin. Or I even said this, like, I'll keep stacking until it doesn't even make any more sense. Whenever that is. And thankfully enough, I was able to join, a couple communities. Shout out to, the Visionaries, and to Bitcoiners for Freedom, George, Jerry. And just, being in a community really does help, because it makes you realize that there's other like-minded individuals along with you for the ride, and it makes you feel humble and small, but in a good way, because I don't want to be the person that absolutely knows everything. I want to learn, and it's funny because there's people that got into Bitcoin 5 years ago, and they know more than me when I first came along, and that's humbling, and it's great, and it's awesome, and I can learn, and we can all learn from one another. And I actually had the opportunity to meet people from the community last year at the conference in Vegas as well, and great people, great solid people. I met Jor, I met Jerry Loves Freedom, I met Bodhi from Bitcoin Generations, Citadel Daniel. I even met Rajat Soni as well. And these are all great people. And the thing is, and that's the thing about Bitcoin, you gotta keep learning, and you gotta keep even, like, I wouldn't say the word rehearsing, but also like relearning all this information, going back to basics, so you can make it understanding enough, well enough for yourself, so that you can explain it to others. And yeah, that's my story. Hope it was interesting, and hope you guys are doing well. Have a great day, and see you for the next one. Peace.